Welcome to GrizzNation with businessman Morry the Grizz Taylor. Think it's bad now? Here's the Grizz to drop some truth in Washington's punch bowl.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation. Here on a beautiful Saturday in our Detroit studio, I'm here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, CEO of Titan International. And Morry, I'll tell you, we saw some really awful news early this month out of the Department of Labor. They reported that America's manufacturing sector only added 4,000 jobs in September. What does that mean for us, Morry?
That means we're still just popping along. We're basically, if you look at everything that the happening in the manufacturing, we started to have a little pickup, and then it's kind of backed off. And if you turn around and people think about it, you got to go back almost 20 years ago when I was in the political arena.
When you ran for president in 96, right?
96, but if you go back then, that's right after Clinton had given the favored nation to China and opened our country, and so everything started moving, and we've never really, it's a slow, it doesn't happen in 6 months. It takes years and years.
Well, more they're saying that we've lost 5 million manufacturing jobs since the year 2000, since shortly after you ran for president.
Well, we've lost, but we were losing them also. Back in the 90s, you had the dot-com, everything else was kind of masking what was really happening. Mm-hmm. And it takes time. It takes time to move manufacturing. Any country that turns around and grows and has the strength, you have to have a manufacturing sector. Then what's happened with our country is we have a group of people who think that we can just be a service country. You can't. You're going to have that manufacturing base. And we have a base, but it's been whittled down. Now, everybody can say there's other reasons. It's not, that's not so. You got to protect your own country, your good paying jobs. Everybody else tries to, but we've got people who just don't quite understand what you have to do. Look at automotive. You have the president, he saved automotive. He did everything.
You're saying that with a grin over here, I see.
I understand. I mean, we put so many billions of dollars that you didn't get back. But really what's happened is that our market has been opened and an awful lot of other foreign countries have come in, built plants. But our basic Chrysler, which is now owned by the Italians, but Ford and General Motors, fine companies, but they all are still represented by the auto workers.
Right.
And when they had the chance to straighten it up, why do we allow a monopoly one way? And it's
what do you mean
shame.
by that, monopoly one way?
Because the auto workers are the only ones who represent. So
in all the auto industry.
Yes, and what happens is you turn around and they just hold one company in their talks, and if they go on strike with one, how that leverage, because they have no way to compete, afterwards. If you had an individual union, like a steelworkers at GM, and you had Ford had the UAW, and then you had the Teamsters over with Chrysler, when they decided to call a strike, they're in the soup just like the company's in the soup. It works a little bit better that way.
Well, we've got here in the United States a growing Made in America movement. In fact, we're joined now on the air by Mark Andal, who is the founder of the Made in America store. And Morry, he's our first advertiser here on GrizzNation. Mark, thank you very much for joining us.
Welcome, Mark.
How you doing, guys? Good afternoon, Mike and Morry.
Well, it's a pleasure, Mark, to have somebody that has stood out. And in fact, I can remember listening and reading about you and had a lot of admiration for what you're doing up there. So it's tell a little story about how hard it has been to try to get the products that you're selling in your store.
Yeah, it's very difficult. We started 4 years ago, the Made in America store in Alma, which is south of Buffalo. And, I did it, Morry and Mike, because I lost half my work from my manufacturing company, General Welding and Fabricating, to overseas competition. Back then we started with 50 products, and my concept and core value was it has to be made in America 100%, made by Americans in American factories with American components. And with just 50 products, I run it like my military project where you need 3 letters of authenticity with each product. And I'm proud to say we're up to 6,500 products today, and we support 400 American manufacturers, all of them 99% privately owned, but very difficult to find. We've done well, a lot of homework, but very hard to find any electronics or anything that takes a battery. I always pick on everybody. I want a toaster made in our country. And I always said we got to the moon, so don't tell me you can't do it. I mean, we're the number one country in the world, but it's a shame to me. But there is a movement. It is moving. Channel Lock, one of my top suppliers 4 years ago, joined me, and they laughed. I wanted a screwdriver made here, and they said they don't have a screwdriver. Theirs is from China. But just this past week, they came up and they've got a screwdriver line. And they complimented us for, asking and pushing. But it's
so
nice
Channel
to see,
Lock
guys.
has designed a whole screwdriver line that's made in America completely.
Yes, and it just came
That's
out.
great.
We're the first retail store to have it. Now they had a 6-in-1, a small screwdriver, and then a line. But it's top quality. Again, Morry, I took a look at your company, Titan International. Hats off to you. I mean, I was blown away. Not only am I into, seeing a lot of equipment, but 3,500 employees plus, I think, and, hats off to you. That's what we need more of, the believers that love our country.
The reason it's the same story. We have the similar story as yourself. I mean, we were in Quincy, Illinois, a factory that was closed down. At that time, it was represented by the UAW, but it was always on strike. But they're basically a company that manufactured wheels, the simplest thing in the world that's been around for as long as anybody's alive today. And what really happened back in the early 80s, everybody was supposed to go to Mexico because you could get cheaper labor. I guess I wasn't smart enough, but we turned around and here we started with 0 employees and 0 sales, and that factory alone is doing in excess of $300 million and has over 900 employees. So we're proud of it, but you see the funny part, and the only thing that's our saving grace today is we make 50,000 different part numbers. So what happens to you as a manufacturer, you have let's just take whether it's the Chinese, and actually the Indians are even in it, nothing for their country. It's all to export into here. So they get subsidies to ship things into the United States. And you would think our government would step up, but lo and behold, they don't. In fact, for some real subsidized equipment, we had to step up and sue in court, the International Court of Claims, and we won 5-1. But when you get done paying the lawyers in Washington, you better have a lot of cash, because it took us over $7 million just to get one item, and we're still in court. So I admire what you've done, and you got to keep on pushing it. I think the American people themselves are very pleased of what you're doing.
You know, Mark, it's interesting. You know, I was telling Morry, you actually have busloads of people coming in from all over the country to visit your stores, right?
Yeah, it's funny. You know, we started with the store, and I was kind of ticked off. I lost half my account, a $3.5 million account to China back in 07, 08.
You're talking about your fabrication plant when you lost that China.
Yeah, my general welding and fabricating. Yeah, I was up to, I started out of my dad's garage in 85, built general welding up to, by 2008, we were up to 70 employees. Of the 70 employees, I had 18 family members and 3 guys I went to kindergarten with, and I always used to say I had no rich uncle. So it was a very tight group. And but in 08, when I lost half my business to China, and then I lost my oil and mining, the recession hit, the work I had in the oil and mining industry and my defense trailers, it really hit me hard. By 2010, I was down to 2 of my 4 plants. I had closed 2 of them. I went down to 30 employees, started to lay off them family members. And more, you know, if you got family or friends and you start laying off, it's the worst part of your life. You know, it's the last thing you want to do is go backwards. And that's where the Made in America store was born. But, you know, finding, I've got 4 stores in Western New York. We got 3 websites. We started a distribution center that we house 6,500 products in so we can supply our stores and websites. But anybody in the country or world that wants Made in America material and products, they always tell me it's too hard to find, Mark. You know, we love what you're doing. But I said, let me make it easy for you because it is worth the work. You've got to go forward. You got to, you know, the buses that come, you know, like that you asked, I never thought we'd be a destination of our country. And we became just that in Alma. We're a destination. We've had 360 buses visit our store as of this past week in the 4 years. And 80% of them come from around the country. They want to see what Americans are making. There's nostalgic items. We support inventors, entrepreneurs. But it's, you know, I like that can-do spirit. I'm trying to revive that, you know, rebuild that American dream. So it is pretty neat, Mike. These people come in, and they really appreciate what we're doing. But it is sad in the same, you know, perspective that we're a destination, the Made in America store in our own country. I mean, Morry, you know what I mean. It's kind of weird.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
With the internet now, and if you're a manufacturer in the U.S., your big customers just put the bid on the internet, and you're sitting there bidding against China, India, you name it, and you can't. People have to understand you cannot pay $1 an hour and the wages that they pay over there. And
it's funny, Morry, you say that. No, you know, an inferior, non-quality product is never associated with high-paying wages. The two don't go together. So, you know, the middle class here, you know, we've hurt through the years. And I say, hey, 50-50 fair trade. Support the country you live in. We have Vietnamese, Japanese, Canadians come to my store, and they understand we got a major skilled worker shortage also, guys, that I want to touch on a little bit because I've got a welding facility that I've got work right now. You cannot find skilled workers, very, very difficult. So I blame the parents and the guidance counselors. They have to make it okay to work with your hands. I mean, we've got a few different issues going on.
Well, what you have is, and also they support the situation of being open borders, is most of our universities and the professors, because, you know, truthfully, they're getting a government check. So they have a different philosophy where we would probably as a country be better off if we kind of like closed up a few of the universities so that we don't always turn around and tell people if you don't go to college, you're nothing.
Or you actually can't find welders, right, Mark?
Yeah, right now, yeah, we do a lot with the oil and mining industry, and right now, I'm saying looking for 10, 20 welders. You cannot find them, so what you do, you try to find. I love working with the young guys and whatnot, but the work ethic has definitely changed. I always said,
well, Mark, listen, can you stick around? We're going to go to a quick commercial break. You can stick around for a minute?
I'm going to run your commercial, Mark. Everybody listen to it.
Now, listen, don't forget, give a call to 855-98-GRIZZ. That's 855-984-7499. We'll be right back with Morry the Grizz Taylor and Mark Andol.
The Grizz.
Hi, I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proven fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
Hi, I'm Olympic gold medalist Shawn Johnson. I want to make sure you know about the March of Dimes, March for Babies. This walk is really special to me. I was born with an APGAR score of 0, which is not an ideal way to start. Every day, babies start life the same way, with the odds stacked against them. Their first steps are made possible by ours, all of ours. Take the first step at marchforbabies.org. Let's walk together for stronger, healthier babies.
More than half of U.S. children and adults have never received music education, although 68% think it's important, according to a new poll commissioned by Primrose Schools. Early, consistent exposure to music has been found to support musical ability, language development, motor coordination, social skills, and learning. Visit justaskaprimrosemom.com to hear what moms are saying about Primrose Schools' new partnership with the Music Class, an international early childhood music education company.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. Not safe for work if you're a bureaucrat. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to talk with Morry Taylor, the Grizz.
And we're back here. This is Michael Caputo sitting here in the Detroit studio with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive Officer of Titan International Tire. And we're joined by Mark Andal, who is the founder of the Made in America store. And Mark, Morry and I were just talking. President Obama promised to create 1 million new manufacturing jobs in his second term. And he's at 189,000, according to the White House count, a woefully short number. And there's a lot of reasons for it, isn't there, Morry?
There's no question there's a lot of reasons, and most of them you fall right on the government, but you know, we just have open borders for everybody to come across, humans. We also have an open dumping ground for everybody's subsidized products. That's just a simple way of saying it.
Well, Mark, you were working on the annual manufacturing day is a big deal this year, and you got a new film coming out about your efforts to build a Made in America movement. But it was really disappointing to see that, on Manufacturing Day, the Department of Labor announced a really anemic number of 4,000 manufacturing jobs created. It's an awful situation, isn't it?
Yeah, you've got to produce as a nation more than you consume. And a lot of people said, Mark, everybody can't be as patriotic and have the values you do. It's all about money. But I'm not. I'm about creating a livelihood. So a lot has happened. Mike, you brought up the movie, which I've got to send Morry a copy. It's called The American Made Movie. It's a featured documentary film we were blessed to be part of. We were asked 4 years ago, and Clyde and Sonda Strickland out of Georgia developed the film. Their ultimate goal was to have it taught in schools across this country as a curriculum. And the movie is the American Made Movie shows where America was after World War II, where we are today, and what we need to do for our children's future. It's non-political. It shows a working model. It shows global investment, but it really raises awareness to people that you have to make something in your country. And this film really nailed it. It's an hour and a half. They reduced it to a 60-minute film that can be taught in schools, and they just won all the Georgia schools, 1,000 of them, to make let people know and kids that you can become something with thinking with your mind and building something, Morry, that you believe in, I believe in. Mike, you know what I'm talking about. But this American-made movie really gets the point across. But I love that their ultimate goal was to teach it in schools. And that's what we need to bring back more of. But, to create jobs, you need, I always said we need work. We need to build a product, but you have to make things, and that's really important.
You're right on base there. And when you look at history, we have in World War II, prior to World War II, General Motors made automotives in Japan, and they had 52% of the market. We, after the war, put into the Constitution that we would not make any autos in Japan. It would be Japanese manufacturers. That's how the government wisdom was at the time. So here we are, 50, what would it be? It'd be almost 60 years since then. And there's still nobody from the U.S. making cars in Japan. It's a closed market. But you look at all the Toyotas, the Hondas, and everything over here. And everybody should take a message from what you're saying and what I'm trying to tell the audience here, Mark, is that it was Ronald Reagan who put an embargo on motorcycles over a certain cc. And that was to give Harley Davidson a chance to stay in business. And everybody should think back into the 80s, and the big hog rules the world now. So
absolutely.
We
have got to, just as you said, we got to make things.
Mark, we got a question from the internet. Robert in Denver, Colorado. He's wondering what Mark would like to see Obama or Congress do now to get more products made here in the USA. That's a legit question.
Yeah, you've got to make it easier to do business here. You've got to give incentives here, more incentives here than, the companies overseas. You have to make it. I'd like to see a percentage demanded that's made in our own country. You've got to support the country you live in. My daughter's 12 years old, and I always said what I'm doing is for my daughter. They're going to really pay a price. You have to make more than you consume, like I said, and we're so out of balance. My store taught me, over the 4 years, how out of balance we are. We have to look at that. I'm always kind of waving my hands at my store. Here's a simple idea. Here's a model that works. George Washington's first agenda was to have a suit made in our country. Abraham Lincoln said, let's build the railways here and build the steel. I mean, you keep the money here in your own country, and you can grow your country.
You're 100% right there, Mark. And give you an example. When he says, and you talk about, making it easier to do business, the same situation is you turn and you have to put duty. We do not have the duties. I'll give you an example. I had to sue against the Chinese tire makers, which are government-owned factories, to put a duty on them, which we succeeded. Then what happened, and we spent all that money, now they decided they would put a little rim inside the tire, and our government says, well, that's a different product. It's got a wheel in it, and they're shipping it in. It is totally ludicrous, and you know why they're doing it. You go to the government, well, you got to start all over again.
How much do you spend on something like that?
You'd spend
legal fees.
$7 to $10 million just in legal fees.
It's funny. Morry, and I've invented a few things. I mean, small things, but other countries have first-time inventor clause. Here they don't. You invent something, you pay the money, $7,000 to $10,000 for a basic invention, and if you don't have money to build fences around that invention or intellectual property, forget it. It's just not set up for. It's not. There's common sense that we're lacking. In the government, and that's what I mean. They're in their own little world. They're spinning around there. I said, if you're leaving Buffalo and you're going to Florida, and if you see a sign that says Canada, stop the car at least. That's my take on the government. They're just going in the wrong direction.
I agree with you. It is a pretty ridiculous situation that we all been living in, and it's a shame. It's take the case today. With this Ebola, you turn around and the president makes a big point of sitting there appointing a czar. Where in the hell did they get this? And what is he? A lawyer. He's a bagman, a politician. And then they turn around and tell us, well, he's going to report to Susan Rice. I mean, if you're not worried and you got Obamacare coming, and the Americans can see today the VA has been broken for years. So if anybody thinks the government can run something, you're just plain nuts.
You know, Mark,
Well,
I noticed from your trailer to the film that you're involved in that when somebody just simply buys an American product, it has a ripple effect all the way back to the factory. And now you've got thousands of products for sale, and you're actually supporting job creation by doing it.
It works. You know, I'm a working model. It's so simple. You know, World News, I was, on about 4 times, and Diane Sawyer sent Sharon Alfonsi down once, probably 3 years ago now. But, they had the model. It was done by their economists. If you spent $64 a year, which works out to $3 or $4 a day, every American spent, just $64 a year, you can create 200,000 jobs. It's that simple. I mean, this works. Buying made in America products. It's more than just a purchase. And people forget how many people are involved with your product. It's like your tire more. One toy in my store might include 13 other businesses. They make the glue, the packaging. But one product is a spider web effect. And no matter what side you're on, Democrat or Republican, everybody kind of buys into the made in America. It makes sense. Just not enough people feel they can make a difference. But I say vote with your dollar. Buy made in America products because it helps everything that we're talking about and everything we want to see change is that simple to support them companies that are trying to survive. And unfortunately, they're privately owned companies that are having very challenging times to run a business in this country right now.
I agree 100%, and it's so difficult. I look back at what we would have went through, and I have both union and non-union shops. But if I have a dispute with the union and they go out, well, I don't get my mail. I can just go on because people don't realize the government is all unionized. Everybody's in the union, even the supervisors. It's a nutcase out there right now, and hopefully you keep pushing the message, Mark. I'm going to keep pushing the message, and maybe we can get some people that start to listen and start to talk to somebody next door, because it's the only way it's going to happen. You got to start the revolution and keep.
Well, the revolution started, and what's interesting, Morry, is you compete. I mean, you make these huge, immense agricultural tires, and you tell me the Indians are just dumping them hand over fist here.
Well, yeah, because what happened, to make a tire, you don't just pour this black stuff in a mold. A tire is built by hand, okay? It takes a lot of labor. So the Indians, no different than the Chinese, they turned around and they want tire building because it creates so many jobs. So the Indian government needed manufacturing to move the south of India, turned around and says, here, you go spend $500 million, and each year we'll give you back $100 million. So they are building factories.
Completely subsidized.
They don't have any place for the tires over there. So you got U.S. and you have Europe, and of course they fight against the Chinese, and it's a strange world.
Right. Listen, Mark, we're going to go off to a commercial break here, Mark. Your website is www.madeinamericastore.com. And we really appreciate what you do, Mark. Thank you very much for spending time with us.
Thanks, Mark.
Well, thank you.
Good luck
Morry,
to you, too.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I'm going to get you a movie, Morry, okay?
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, I'll send you over his address later on today. That's Mark Andahl, ladies and gentlemen, the founder of Made in America Store, madeinamericastore.com. And we're going to be right back here on GrizzNation with Morry, the Grizz Taylor, right after these messages.
The Grizz.
I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
No need to run around anymore searching for auto parts. At PartsMatrix.com, we do all the legwork for you, saving you time and money. And it couldn't be easier. When you send a request using our simple, secure online form, we get right to work searching our network to find OEM parts, aftermarket, refurbished parts and accessories, recycled auto parts, and more. We get back to you in a jiffy with the pricing and shipping options, too. Check out our website, PartsMatrix.com, for all the best parts at the best prices. PartsMatrix.com. Save money, drive happy. Tired of worrying about potentially toxic spills around your home, office, or garage? Now there's a quick, inexpensive way to clean up any oil-related spill. EPA-approved Oil Out Plus contains no noxious fumes or annoying scents. It's odor-free, lightweight, and easy to handle. In fact, Oil Out Plus is scientifically formulated to bond with spills on a molecular level. Cleaning up spills has never been easier. Visit Oil Out Plus to learn more. Oil Out Plus, cleaning up our planet one spill at a time.
Uh-oh. GrizzNation is back. Now nobody in Washington is safe. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join the conversation. Now here's Morry Taylor, the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation. This is Michael Caputo in studio here in Detroit with Titan International Tire Company CEO Morry the Grizz Taylor. Morry, we've seen some information coming out this week and last week about Obamacare and how it's turning into a very unpopular program, huh?
Well, it's been unpopular, and when you have 1 in 4 in the private insurance that are insured, they don't have any confidence their ability to pay if they have a major unexpected expense coming up. And then when you Gallup poll did a little research when they're polling, and you only have 16% of the Americans that are real favorable for this. So we got a big problem. Now, when you poll them, people wanted portability.
Right, being able to move state to state.
They didn't want to be canceled because they were diabetic or something.
So the listeners, you can't move from one state to the other without changing the insurance coverage.
So the whole thing, the American public by a big amount wanted that corrected. They never wanted the government, because the government can't run a damn thing. They can't run. I mean, if anybody thinks they're going to, just look at the Ebola situation. Look at, everybody's known for 30 years, more than that. The VA sucked. So it's the government people. So now you've got this insurance. But what most people don't realize, the reason the insurance market has been so screwy is because you got 50 states that had their own little bureaucrats in insurance. So if you set everything up so it crossed under the Uniform Commerce, then you would turn around and you could let the freedom go out and people could have their doctors. You know what your insurance. But if you lived in California, you want to get out of that state, the taxes the hell out of you and go to Texas, it would go with you, folks. That's what you've got to do. But behind the scenes, they're going to make this terrible because the Democrats want a Canadian-style one-payer.
Right.
The government takes
government
care
health
of it,
insurance.
and then it goes backwards. It totally goes backwards. And
well, you know, Morry, we see that the White House actually delayed the notices, because right about now people have to understand, are supposed to be notified about the increases in their medical fees and their health insurance fees, and they have it actually delayed until after the election. But that's not working out for them, is it?
No, that's and the reason being is they did not want this previous year companies to be canceling all of the policies, because there is if you have a policy today, you're into, and that's about your employer. You're going to find bigger deductibles coming. You're going to have the situation
co-pays,
bigger co-pays, and you're going to be finding out this is really a bad deal.
But what's interesting is they delayed these announcements of the price hikes until after the election, but people are already being told.
Well, because you see, they're typical bureaucrats. They had no idea that the law stated that if you're going to terminate after the election come January,
the health care,
on your health care, you got to give notice way in the hell before. You can't do it to notice, and then, but that's how they think. That's how.
I just don't get that, Morry. How could these brilliant people in Washington?
Well, that's a mistake right there. You're calling them brilliant, okay? I got a lot of friends that went to Harvard, and Harvard's a great school. But let me tell you something. They graduate an awful lot of just plain, simple morons, okay? I just tell it the way it is. Incompetent fools. That doesn't say intellectually they're not smart. I mean, if you can talk real well, then, you have to be so smart. But that's only because you're listening to some talking head on TV. But they've already proved what they can do best is lie and deceit. You can't keep your doctor, can you? But remember, you could keep your doctor, okay? Then you turned around, it was some crazy making a video that a guy, they threw his scan in jail lightning fast. But now the truth is starting to come out. You turn around, the truth is coming out about Iraq. But what's the paper do now? They want to go back with Karl Rove, who turned around and silenced down why go back about this MDs. And now...
What do you mean, the WMDs?
The WMDs from Iraq. And now we find...
Weapons of mass destruction.
Where's old Harry Reid and all them saying, well, I guess there really was there.
Well, you're talking about the New York Times video that came out this week that said, in fact, they did find weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. And all this time, the liberals have been criticizing the Bush administration, all their officials, for getting us into the war falsely. But, in fact, they were there. And the New York Times put it out.
Yeah, but the New York Times did not turn around and say, hey, for the previous 7 years that we were telling you there was none, we were totally wrong, and now we're showing we're right, and we want to apologize for all the lies we put out there. They're not going to tell you that. So it's all good in war and peace and politics. Well, the problem we got is the American public, the people, all you listening, you're the ones that are going to pay. You know, I'm just one single voice, but you can turn around and talk to people that you know. And here's some things. You stop and think, what in the hell have they done right? All right? You turn around, and here's another thing that came out in the paper. The government collected almost 9% more money. Record, over $3 trillion. Now, they don't know what the hell to do with all the damn money.
That's a hell of a raise, isn't it? Get a 9% raise in a year.
And remember, you're going down. Oh, there's a few. Now, I love how we got to tax the rich more. Well, folks, you had Obama. You had, Mr. Mouth, our vice president. You had Slick Harry. And now, why didn't they go after the hedge fund industry? they were only paying 15%. If you go out and work and you make, 40 grand, you're going to pay probably more money than they do. Warren Buffett's right. They didn't touch them. It has nothing to do with the Republicans. They didn't touch them. And you ever notice most Wall Street is Democrat? You listen to them whine and scream. It's all BS. So, if you're going to just sit there and pull that lever for them, then you're nuts. You look at the vote down in Louisiana for that senator. I mean,
Mary Landrieu.
Mary Landrieu. I mean, give me a break. She's so far, and we got the same thing in Michigan right now with this guy running for Senator Peters. He didn't do a damn thing when he was a congressman. It's just all he's going to do is a mouthpiece for Harry Reid.
But we've got just a couple of minutes here before we go on a commercial break. But we look at the Obamacare price hikes weren't going to be announced until after the election. Immigration reform is not going to be announced until after the election. The XL pipeline is not going to be decided until after the election. The new Attorney General to replace Eric Holder is not going to be announced until after the election. And
they're not going to do the Bowie. Burko. I mean, because they know, he did go AWOL, and then they turn around and made a great prisoner swap. Now we got to go shoot them.
Right.
Why didn't they just, you want to close Gizmo? I got an idea. You just get a barge, you throw a little bit flatbird in it, you tow it out to sea, and you say, okay, guys, we're watching you. Paddle, okay? See if you can make it back.
Well,
it's nuts what we do.
But they assume the voters are stupid, don't they, Morry?
Hey, every Democrat thinks the people who vote for them are stupid. Right. And you know something? If you do vote for them, you are stupid.
The administration is openly boasting about hiding these truths from the voters until after the election day. And it's really pretty insulting, isn't it, Morry?
Well, it is to anybody that pays attention to it. There's so many people who do not pay attention to it. And, it's we had a conversation the other night. And when you sit there and you look and you say to any of you in the audience that happen to have a nice tan, most of the tan ones in this country vote 90-some% Democratic. And the question is, what have they done? They have ruined, so many of your families. It's crazy. You got to get the shackles off and you got to get moving. If you started putting some decent jobs in this country, there's very, very few people in this country that don't want to work. Very, very few. Most want a decent job. And once they're trained, they'll do a good job. And I can tell you, because I've got thousands of employees here, and we started with zero. Now, the problem you have is the government on all sides, both state and everything. You've got to lower it for where you can get some jobs. And that's what we got to do. So it's
Well, there are all these things, many of these things that Obama is and the White House and the Congress is hiding until after the election in order to try and reelect the Democrats in charge of the Senate. A lot of these things are going to have a direct impact on jobs, a direct impact.
There's
the XL pipeline, for example.
There's no question. You got the pipeline, should have been built. The Canadians are going across the top. Oil is going to be there. In fact, if they'd had the pipeline, all of you out there, you'd be down into probably $1.90 in gas, folks. $1.90. All right. Now we got to just keep. You got to get involved. That's it. You can't just watch the football game. You can't just. I appreciate you want to get away from all this, but we have got to get you involved some way.
Well,
Join us at GrizzNation.
If I can get Grizz to turn off the football game to do this 2-hour show, you can turn off the football game and do something yourself. We'll be right back after these commercial messages on GrizzNation.
The Grizz.
I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
My daughter starts elementary school this year. I'm amazed how fast she's grown. Being ready for school means more than just knowing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. It's social and emotional development, too. That's why she spent her early years at Primrose Schools. Primrose parents rate their children above 90% in school readiness. With her Primrose Foundation, my baby is ready to succeed. To see what other moms are saying, visit askaprimrosemom.com.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at ovaltineusa.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. Think it's bad now? You ain't seen nothing yet. Just dial 855-98-GRIZZ to ask the Grizz.
And welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation. Don't forget, give us a call at 855-984-7499. That's 855-98-GRIZZ with 2 Z's. It's Michael Caputo here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive Officer of Titan International Tire Company in Quincy, Illinois. Morry, we were talking on the break here about this whole Ebola virus. Things are really going bad, aren't they? And they appoint a politician, a spin master, to be the Ebola czar.
Yeah, he worked for Vice President Biden. Mm-hmm. And then he
knows how to handle a crisis.
And then he also, prior to that, worked for our Vice President Gore, who you got to be a real big spin master with those two. No ands, if, buts about it. I mean, it's so idiotic.
But he's got no medical credentials. He's not a doctor. No. He's not even in the health industry at all.
You have to almost say to yourself, well, when this Ebola broke out, why they didn't just clamp down and no one from that area is coming to the United States.
Just shut down the flight.
Just shut everything down right then and there. And you got a passport, you got something, and if you went through that country before you got here, just stopped over, you're not coming in. You're quarantined however many days they say it takes. Then you're protecting this country. You almost think that these people in Washington that have, I call them the elitist liberals, it's almost like, well, they need a crisis. They always need a crisis by Election Day. So I think they miscalculate. I'm wondering if they just didn't say, oh, we don't want to do that. Wouldn't it be something if we got a little bit here? Because they figure they can shut it down real quick.
Well, I live in Buffalo, New York, and our local congressman, a liberal Democrat who has been around for a little while, was interviewed on television, and he turned around and said, well, the Republicans are cutting spending, and they cut back on spending at the CDC, so we're not prepared for this because of Republican cuts in spending. And he got shellacked. So I think they've overestimated this.
Oh, yeah. Plus, it just goes to show how dumb your Democrat up there was. So they come out in the paper, they got 8.9%, $3 trillion. Oh, we don't have enough money. And then you look it up. Hey, folks, you're not going to believe this. We're sending 1.4 million down to Mexico City so that they can turn around and develop better laws against gays and
the discrimination laws, yeah.
Discrimination.
So we're putting millions in Mexican discrimination laws.
How dumb can we be, okay?
Well, you know,
if you want to stop the border, I'll tell you how you stop it. You got all the traffic. Without our trade, Mexico dies, okay? So, you want your borders sealed? It's simple. You just tell the Mexican government that when they seal their side of the border, for nobody's coming across on ours, then we will start allowing the trucks and the trains to come across.
With all the products.
With all the product that they want to sell to us. So,
well, you know, listen, that's very interesting.
When you do that, folks, then the poor liberals will go nuts because the border will be sealed. They might shoot a few people, but it'll be sealed. And then you can't blame us. So,
but corporate America is never going to allow that, Morry. They're just never going to allow it. And we actually have a caller here, William from Miami. William, are you on the line?
Hello.
Hi, William. You got a question for the Grizz?
Yeah, I do. You know, this thing about Made in America really is, I think it's the key to America getting back on track. And, you know, one of the things is that these corporations and their constant outsourcing, and I'm wondering do you have any sense out there of when these corporations are going to figure out that outsourcing doesn't work a good part of the time? Like take Boeing, for example. You know, they came up with the 787 Dreamliner, beautiful airplane, and then they made these supply chains, global supply chains, that totally broke down on them, and they ended up being way over budget and late by, you know, several years on their flagship product. And it was because, you know, the bean counter said we can save a lot of money by not paying American people to make the American airplane, which is what I think they should have done from the get-go.
Well, I'm not going to disagree with you, but you use Boeing as an example. And what big companies do is no different than, and I'm going to put this into Wall Street, okay? You see, a big company, the CEO of that company, they're looking every quarter what they can do to tell the analysts, because now you get out to all the funding and everything else in their stock price. Because you see,
you're talking about the Wall Street analysts,
the
right?
Wall Street, the stock price was what affects their bonus on their options and etc. So what they're looking at, if you think about this, building this Boeing, you turn around now and they want to sell that plane to China. Well, China's a little smarter because now they're worried about what they're going to do with all those 1.3 billion Chinese. So they tell Boeing, well, we'll buy some planes if you come over here. Now, the bad thing about this is that the Chinese want it there because in the next 5 years you're going to see they're making the damn plane, okay? But for the time being, the management takes the risk to get the sales, and that's why they went over there. It's just like Airbus. There was no company in Europe that could build an airliner to compete with ours over here. So they together brought in the Airbus. You got the Germans. That was government put together, my friend. So,
but Morry, are corporations learning a lesson with these mistakes that they're making with outsourcing? Is it going to stop or at least slow down?
I don't think so, because what happened is that the ones who went for just cheap labor without the technology and everything else over to China, they are the ones that have found out that that was a big mistake. But they're only bringing a few things back because they then go from China, they'll go to Mexico.
Right.
Because the Mexican wage level is
well, that's
so
actually what's
cheaper.
happening now. You were telling me.
That's just what's happened.
They're actually moving their manufacturing plants from China, but not to America, to Mexico.
To Mexico, and that's where you've got all the new car factories are going up. And, I mean, these are just huge factories that are going to make in excess of 1 million cars a year. And they'll ship them, into the U.S., Canada, and overseas. So we have a problem, and how you solve that problem is if you had a duty, you got to get back to a duty. And that's how our country...
You sound like Pat Buchanan, Morry.
Well, no, but what happened was we never had... The only taxes you had up until 1913 were from the duties. The federal government, there was no income tax. And Al Capone wouldn't pay 5%, and that's how they got him to put him in jail. So what happens is you've got to turn around and have this industry where you're not a high duty, but you got to have something to even up the playing field. We don't have it. We just don't have it.
We just have a comment from, we're loaded with comments from the internet here. Janet from Nashville says, we've shown the Japanese we can make better cars in America, and they started to do it right here outside of Nashville. Why can't American companies understand that? Why can't we do the same thing? Why aren't we building cars in these places?
Well, we are building a lot of cars in America today. They're not being built by GM, Ford, and Chrysler because you have a monopoly until they went into bankruptcy. Ford did not, with the UAW. Now, those shops that she's talking about, they're paying the wages, but they don't have all the BS of the unionization. So their work rules, their finishing,
I think in the Nashville factory they don't, right?
No.
I think it's a right-to-work state, right?
Yeah. And so what happens is that's one reason. Number two, you have to realize that it was Ronald Reagan who put a cap on how many cars could be imported. Just like he saved the situation with Harley Davidson, he also was the one who saved on the automotive. But you have to understand, it's like the head of the public, the FIL-CIO now,
right.
Trunkel. All right? He was with the miners. Why wasn't he on Obama? Why is he letting the coal miners? Those were his people.
Right, he's just letting them go.
He's just letting them go. I mean, if he walks into Kentucky, they'd probably shoot him. I mean, you got to understand, folks, this is all about power, all about money.
Right, and speaking of power and money and energy, Morry, James from Buffalo contacted us via the internet, and he was wondering what your prediction is on the price of oil futures. I mean, they're dropping like a stone, right?
They're dropping. Oil all over is dropping, and if we had a government that had took their head out of the clouds.
Clouds, that's a nice way to put it.
You would turn around and you would have the Keystone Pipe going. We'd be just banging everything we could bang. I believe you could bring the oil down probably less than, $50, right around $50 a gallon. And the other thing is, you go to Brazil, you got ethanol, and you can have pure ethanol. We got to get the same situation here.
Well, we'll come back to that topic right after these messages. Don't forget to give us a call here on GrizzNation, 855-98-GRIZZ. We'll be back right after these messages.
Hi, I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This is an important announcement for anyone with a federal student loan. Pay attention. No matter how much you owe or how far behind you are on payments or even in default on your student loan, call First American Student Debt Relief toll-free assistance line right now at 888-796-0571. You can cut your payments in half right away or even more. First American Student Debt Relief will also stop the harassing phone calls, wage garnishments, and even remove tax liens. We can fix your student loan problems today. Get your student loan out of default and reduce your payments. Call First American Student Debt Relief today, 888-796-0571. We've helped countless people just like you fix their student loan problems. Don't go another day with your loans behind or in default. Our specialists are waiting for your call. Call 888-796-0571. 888-796-0571. Call 888-796-0571 today.
Looking for a way to enjoy your MP3 music without seeing messy wires? The in-dash Sony DSX digital media receiver features an integrated USB tune tray that lets you connect, store, and control your MP3 player behind the sleek flip-down faceplate. Now you can enjoy great audio quality for your music without visible wires. Plus, the Bluetooth technology provides hand-free phone access and streaming audio ability. Learn more at sony.com/DSX.
More than half of U.S. children and adults have never received music education, although 68% think it's important, according to a new poll commissioned by Primrose Schools. Early, consistent exposure to music has been found to support musical ability, language development, motor coordination, social skills, and learning. Visit justaskaprimrosemom.com to hear what moms are saying about Primrose School's new partnership with the Music Class, an international early childhood music education company.
Important medical alert for users of antidepressant prescription drugs. If you or a loved one used certain antidepressant prescription drugs before or during pregnancy, including Zoloft, Depakote, Paxil, Prozac, Wellbutrin, Lexapro, Celexa, or Effexor, and have a child born with a birth defect such as cleft lip, cleft palate, club foot, or other heart, lung, and cranial defects, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation and future medical expenses for your child's condition. Call 800-457-1584 now if you or a loved one used certain antidepressant prescription drugs before or during pregnancy and have a child born with a birth defect. Time is limited to file a claim. Act now. You may be entitled to substantial financial compensation. Call 800-457-1584. That's 800-457-1584. The call and consultation are free. 800-457-1584. This is an advertisement, not valid in all states. Paid non-attorney spokesperson. iLawsuit.com is an advertising group that represents lawyers advertising their services and is a free matching service for consumers. It is not a law firm or lawyer referral service.
Warning. GrizzNation is a politically incorrect zone. Got a problem with that? Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to talk to the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to GrizzNation. This is Michael Caputo here with Morry Taylor. Morry the Grizz Taylor, the Chief Executive Officer of Titan International Tire, based in Quincy, Illinois. We're here in his Detroit home, ad hoc studio for the day. Don't forget, call us at 855-984-7499 if you got a question for the Grizz, and that's 855-98-GRIZZ. We got a lot of incoming stuff on the internet. I'll tell you, Tina from California, Morry, she has something. Why are we still debating a travel ban on African nations with Ebola outbreaks. What is the president waiting for?
Well, I don't think anybody really knows. I have my suspicions. I believe that he would rather have this thing continue. I don't think they believe in their mind that they can handle it. It won't get too big. But if you notice,
well, they say volatility helps the incumbent.
That's it. He's looking at never. You know, when you've got a what do we want to say, a point of where their people are focused on something, don't waste it. Don't waste it.
All right, don't let a crisis go to waste.
Go to waste. And the only thing is, they're so tied up into like their organization. He comes from the unionized side. Let's have this crisis. Let's go march. They get all the marches and everything, and it gets some people upset. I don't think they want to solve it, my friends. And if someone dies, then there's going to be problems. Okay?
Well, you know, Pat Buchanan had an interesting column this week, and I think it was National Review, and he says that in fact that the president is not going to ban travel from these African nations because it's politically incorrect to do so. It's in fact being called racist to do so, and he says that may kill all of us.
Well, I understand that he's on to a certain point, but I don't think they've even thought that far. I'm not going to give them that bit. I think that
they'd have to be pretty smart to do that. Right?
They're taking this crisis, and they've sat there and they said, "Oh, we can control it." You listen to this Center for Disease Control, that doctor, he has no clue. And then you listen to the hospital. Well, folks, you had 2 nurses now that came down. These are not dumb nurses. These weren't some African out there in the boonies, and they didn't know they couldn't touch. They understood, and they didn't want this stuff because they know it kills you. So I'll be shocked to find out they did something really stupid. But they do have the Ebola now. Of course, he hasn't said a lot about that plane. I think the thing is starting to spiral out of control. And so now he's not going to make a decision. He ain't made any decisions. He's running from it, folks. That's why he's picked out the spin master. Now you sit there. And then, folks, Susan Rice. If you guys don't know who Susan Rice is, she's the one that went on all the TV programs and talked about Benghazi and everything. Those were her talking points.
Right. She's the one who initially blamed the Benghazi problem on the video, which we found out was completely incorrect.
You notice they're all Harvard? You notice the president,
Are
the
you
first
a Yale
lady,
man?
the new czar of the Ebola, he's from Harvard. Susan Rice is from Harvard. No, they sit in a room and they all just chit-chat to each other, telling each other how brilliant they are and how dumb the rest of us are. Now, you ever notice they all collect government checks? So that's true. It's crazy.
Right.
All right?
Well, Morry, don't you think public safety should come before political correctness?
There's no question. He should have clamped down. And the thing that bothers me that no one's talking about, why in God's green earth would you send 5,000 American troops? They're supposed to be Ebola experts.
With 4 hours training, Morry. That's all they get is 4 hours training.
It's nuts. And the blood on them that is on the president's head. I mean, you know, it is such a waste. It's nuts. This isn't the first Ebola crisis over there. They've had them before. Okay?
Right.
Everybody else, as Mike mentioned earlier, you know, they turned around and stopped. All those African countries next door to them, they don't want them coming over. It's nuts.
It is. And Morry, I think it's, Buchanan mentioned this in his column. He said back in his day, and I guess your day, and my parents' day, not in my day really, but when there were outbreaks of flu in your household, everybody stayed home. They put a sign on the door and said, "We're under quarantine, self-quarantine." And what we just don't, we're a nation now that that doesn't want to do that. That nurse, the second one, had gone somewhere on a trip, on a vacation, and she called the CDC and said, I'm getting a temperature. What should I do? She called them more than once, and they said, get on the plane. Get on the plane. It's not a problem.
Yeah, well, the other situation is you call IRS up and ask for advice on how you do your taxes, and they're wrong. They're wrong most of the time. And so when you do get in trouble, you can't use that as an excuse. Why in the hell are we even paying them, okay?
Right. So
and now you got one on a cruise ship. There's another one on the cruise ship, too. Right. So it's nuts, folks. It just proves when it comes time to vote in a few weeks, you got to send a big message. And, you don't want Dingy Harry being the majority leader. The man, I can't believe, I won't go back to Nevada because they elected the fool. I mean, it's crazy. But here's something to think about. And Dingy Harry, he was a lawyer, country-type lawyer. He was not a multimillionaire. How, with his salary and everything, if he pays his taxes, how can he be a multimillionaire? Folks, they use government to enhance their family and themselves. So they're not doing, you don't have to be too smart to see the working middle-class America, we're going downhill. You got to turn around and you got to show up. You got to get involved. Everybody, when there's a war, everybody wants you involved then.
Well, Robert from Nashua, New Hampshire has written in via internet, besides the damage Obama is going to do in and of itself, with all this stuff he's holding out until after the election, I'm afraid he's starting to think he's some kind of king. How can he ignore the law? How can he blow off Congress and the will of the people?
Well, the reason being is Dingy Harry is sitting there in the U.S. Senate. And you got a current senator, she's running, and she's up for election, and she just loves Dingy Harry. She's talking about everything else. She's right in bed with him.
Who are you talking about, Morry?
Shaheen,
okay.
Your ex-governor.
Right.
You should just send her off to the retirement zone. You got a good guy in Brown. He's independent, but at least he served time in the service. So get off your tush and get out there and start helping him get elected.
It's interesting. Sharon from Jackson, Mississippi has written unto us, and she says, I was shocked about what you said about Washington getting even more money through taxes and such. Why does the media make a bigger thing of this? Morry, what can we do to stop government from getting a raise until we do?
Well, the first thing you're going to have to do is start electing people who want to shrink back the bureaucracy.
Well, you're in favor of electing more business leaders, right?
Well, there are some good business leaders that would step up. I honestly believe, remember, lawyers love complex agreements, okay? You got a 20-some thousand page Obamacare. Who in the hell is ever going to read it? You got to get the laws down to just 2 simple pages. And that's what you've got to do. And you got to get out. And first thing, if they're a lawyer, cross them off. Okay? If they're a professor, cross them off. If they're from a union, cross them off. Okay? And if they got some military training, that's even better. Yeah. So it's hard, Every area, it changes.
Yeah, well, listen, we got to get to a commercial message here on GrizzNation. Don't forget, give us a call at 855-984-7499. That's 855-98-GRIZZ with 2 Z's. We'll be right back after these messages on GrizzNation.
The Grizz.
I'm Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Ovaltine. Give your kids the nutrition they need to be their best. Visit us at OvaltineUSA.com. Telling your child about healthy food choices is important, but showing her what to eat goes a lot further. Have her help create the grocery list, then bring her to the store with you. Picking out healthy foods together helps kids get in the habit of thinking about what they're eating every day. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
Tired of worrying about potentially toxic spills around your home, office, or garage? Now there's a quick, inexpensive way to clean up any oil-related spill. EPA-approved Oil Out Plus contains no noxious fumes or annoying scents. It's odor-free, lightweight, and easy to handle. In fact, Oil Out Plus is scientifically formulated to bond with spills on a molecular level. Cleaning up spills has never been easier. Visit Oil Out Plus to learn more. Oil Out Plus, cleaning up our planet one spill at a time.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. Scrape that Washington off your shoes, pull up a chair, and dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join the conversation with the Grizz.
And we're back here on GrizzNation. Michael Caputo here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive Officer of Titan International Tire Company based in Quincy, Illinois. We're here in his Detroit studio. Don't forget, give us a call at 855-984-7499 if you got a question for the Grizz. That's 855-98-GRIZZ. Now, Morry, I'll tell you, we've got a call, a message in from via the internet from Alan in Detroit. Why are liberals so hell-bent on hurting our country to address global warming when China is the real problem? Their pollution levels are off the charts, and yet we're going to kill our economy to deal with this and let China get a free pass. What's that all about?
Well, the first thing, liberals always run to some cause. They never really have any factual, real scientific data. I mean,
so you're skeptical about this whole thing?
I'm skeptical because here, you all can see the sun. You all know at one point, our little old system that we're in, you turned around and the planet was hot. Our planet is cooling, folks. It's been cooling for 4 billion years. If you ever go in the ground, go down the mine. As you keep going down the ground, it gets really friggin' hot, okay? So, and you've already seen the earthquakes. That's just our, we got like a skin.
But Morry, you know? tell me, why are we here in America supposed to kill jobs with these new EPA regulations trying to eliminate the coal-fired power plants? Why are we supposed to accept this economic devastation when China is doing so much more and we don't hear Washington calling them out on it?
Well,
I mean,
because
pouring.
They don't. There's calling them out. They're not going to get any place. They're not going to call India. They're not going to call anybody out. It's this mentality of these universities.
Mm-hmm.
They want to. This is within their group. They want to be liked by this group. They want to be this. That's what it really is.
Right. So you think that this whole global warming thing is really kind of I hate to say it, but kind of a bunch of these guys sit in a circle and talking about something that makes them popular with themselves.
Well, if you go back and you want to see the newspapers, go back into the late 1800s, and you start looking at the horses, how many of the New York City, the world was going to be covered in 3 feet of horse shit because there were so many horses, okay? So, I mean, it's just nuts, all right? You keep going over and over and over. You know, we were going to, Jimmy Carter, all the experts in the world. By 1990, there would be no oil in the world.
Right.
There's more oil today than ever.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, give us a call and ask the Grizz a question. 855-984-7499. That's 855-98-GRIZZ. Now, Morry, we got another question in from the internet, and this is very interesting because we were talking. This is from Bo in Wilmington, North Carolina. You're talking about Dirty Harry making himself rich, and now we learn President Obama's pal, Senator Kay Hagan, here in North Carolina, has her family making $500,000 from companies they set up just to profit off the stimulus she voted for. What's even worse, they ended up not needing all the money like they said they would, and did they send the money back that they didn't use? No way. These people should be thrown in jail. They put that money in their pocket. This is Kay Hagan. She's up for re-election. And do you think that this kind of thing is going to hurt her with the voters?
Oh no, the papers aren't gonna say it, and
even in North Carolina,
all she is complaining about North Carolina is that there's not enough money for the school because the unions are telling her this. I have a daughter that lives in North Carolina, and I have 2 grandsons. And my grandson, I haven't heard this weekend if he's undefeated, but he was undefeated.
In what?
Football.
Okay.
And his team.
Real football, not soccer?
Yeah, the Holly Blue Jackets, I think. Anyhow, the problem is this, I think a guy running against her on the Republican side is Tillis. He's used to be the House Speaker. Well, the first thing is they're running for U.S. Senator. They're not trying to be the local school disc jockey, you know?
Right.
She's running on everything but what her job and what she's done. And her family, if they did as the report says, you're damn right. But who do you think's going to charge her? You can't, as an outside person, charge somebody. You got to have the U.S. attorney. And who's the U.S. attorney? Oh, that's Holder. I don't think so. He hasn't prosecuted anything because of his views. You know, it's just like you turn around and they intimidated those people in the voter booth. They got it on video and everything else, and they were intimidating black voters, not white voters.
Right.
And the Black Panther. And he let them off. I mean, hey, the president's buddy is Bill Ayers, okay? Right. And his wife, Benedict.
These are the Weather Underground?
Underground. They got off on a technicality, or they'd been up for murder. I mean, and where do all these people go? They go work in universities. They could never work in a private industry. They'd get fired. They got to go work in universities. So the question you asked before, one of your people, how can they? Hey, they all get together, and, you know, it's almost, they're so smart, they're what you call civilly insane. That's what I like to say. They're so smart.
What do you mean by that?
They're civilly insane.
They're so smart, they're crazy?
They're not going to help the world. They're not going to help us. They should all stay in a university, but you want to put a big fence around it, okay? Of course, you have to have somebody there to take care of them, because they could never take care of themselves.
Right.
So, you know, that's the way I look at it.
But look at this, Grizz. Look at this. We've got every single one of these people that we've talked about are Harvard grads. Every single one of these, at least Ivy League grads, right? I mean, we've got the president, who's an Ivy League grad, a Harvard grad. We've got Susan Rice, who's an Ivy League, Harvard grad. You got this
Kane, or this new guy. He's
Klain, whatever his name is, who was the vice president, chief of staff, not just Biden, but also Gore, a Harvard guy.
Yep.
And these
Harvard Law Review.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
These people are, I mean, I'll just be very frank. These people are sitting around sniffing their own farts. That's what they're doing. I mean, it's global warming. It's stopping the flights from Africa is racist.
And if they didn't get the money from the government, they would starve. They would be out there, panhandling.
Would you ever hire one of these people into your business?
Zero.
Yeah. How many Harvard grads do you have working for you?
I always took I got Harvard grad friends. Okay.
Okay.
But the first thing is, just think what would have happened to Bill Gates if he'd stayed at Harvard.
Well, he's given all his money to them anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, that's okay. I mean, they got a lot of money, and it's Harvard's more of a network club.
Right.
They network, and they've got a Harvard club in New York that they all go to, and then they probably got one in Washington, D.C., too. So, it's always amazed me how people think that they make you smart. You're born with your brain cells. Harvard's never made a brain cell. No university has. So, folks, if you think you're really smart, thank your friggin' parents. I mean, the only thing the universities can do is show you where to go get information or take you off on the wrong path. And it's quite obvious that they've got a lot of people in those places that are a little bit on the loose stones. And that's why I say they're civilly insane. They're not going to go murder somebody. But,
speaking of crazy,
Yeah.
Morry, speaking of crazy, the United States Department of Labor announced this week that it's giving, you mentioned this earlier in the show, they're giving $1.4 million to toughen gender and sexual orientation anti-discrimination laws in Mexico. I mean, it's bad enough when they're pouring that money into their pet projects that are all about politically correctness in the United States, but now they're trying to force their Harvard-bred politically correctness on Mexico.
Well, the problem, is that is such a farce. And folks, when anybody tells you that the funding was cut, you should cheer. But as we mentioned earlier, the government raised in taxes over $3 trillion for just this year.
Almost a 9% hike. Almost 9% more.
Almost 9%. When did you get your 9% raise? Now, the joke about this, they're going to say, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. $1.4 million. It's that the bureaucrats turn around and they don't give a damn, okay? It's not their money. And until you turn around and somebody reduces these bureaucrats, now remember, all that money they get, that money, folks, is not buying a lot of stuff. You can take a few $100 billion and you buy something. That money is salaries, everything else going out for just people's paychecks.
Right. Now, Morry, what are we doing giving the $1.4 million to the Mexicans to stop
well, the first thing
sexual
is
orientation?
They got the $1.4 million. Mexico is what? 96% Catholic? So I guess they're into religion because they got to change the Catholic religion, right? I guess that's what they want to do. I have no idea. There's so many dummies. I mean, you turn around, you look at you remember the GSA and the guy in the bathtub with his wine on our money? And so what do? Retire him out at another $100,000. Right. All the people that were VA, retire them $100,000 plus. It's insane.
We've talked about a lot of things today, and we're going to talk a little bit more about the Ebola virus and what Washington's going to do about that, what they're doing about it now. We're going to be right back after these messages, but don't forget to call with your questions for the Grizz at 855-984-7499, and we'll be right back after these messages on GrizzNation.
The Grizz.
Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
My daughter starts elementary school this year. I'm amazed how fast she's grown. Being ready for school means more than just knowing ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. It's social and emotional development, too. That's why she spent her early years at Primrose Schools. Primrose parents rate their children above 90% in school readiness. With her Primrose Foundation, my baby is ready to succeed. To see what other moms are saying, visit askaprimrosemom.com.
No need to run around anymore searching for auto parts. At PartsMatrix.com, we do all the legwork for you, saving you time and money. And it couldn't be easier. When you send a request using our simple, secure online form, we get right to work searching our network to find OEM parts, aftermarket, refurbished parts and accessories, recycled auto parts, and more. We get back to you in a jiffy with the pricing and shipping options, too. Check out our website, PartsMatrix.com, for all the best parts at the best prices. PartsMatrix.com. Save money, drive happy.
You're listening to GrizzNation with Morry the Grizz Taylor. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join in on Common Sense Talk Radio, coming right at you in 3, 2, and 1.
And you're back here on GrizzNation. This is Michael Caputo here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, Chief Executive Officer of Titan International Tire Company based in Quincy, Illinois. We're in his Detroit studio, makeshift studio here in his den in Detroit. Ladies and gentlemen, we've been talking a lot about Ebola. We've been talking about how the political correctness that we're facing, we're refusing, Washington is refusing to stop the flights out of Africa, and this political correctness could kill us, couldn't it, Morry?
There's no question. And as we mentioned earlier, the question comes up is, are they really into the political correctness here? Or is this a crisis they're trying to use to run it through the election cycle? I mean, it does seem a little funny what's happening. So we have got to turn around. And it's like I got the, what's out in Utah, the national, NSA?
Right.
Listening?
Right.
Yeah, I get all this noise, Anyhow, the situation, I don't trust them. I don't trust anything that's been going on. I mean, you listen to every one of the federal government guys comes out and, there's no problem from the president, all these experts I talk to. And then what does he do? He doesn't put an expert in charge.
Right.
He trumps them all with politicians, political operators.
Right. He actually devoted his weekly radio address to the Ebola outbreak. And he, according to his the coverage of his radio address, which was aired today, he is urging Americans not to give in to the Ebola hysteria. But they've proven in the past, Morry, so many times that they can't be trusted. And then he goes ahead and appoints a spin master, not a health expert.
Well, that's why I say I don't trust them. Anybody that trusts what's going on with this group that's in there, I mean, you sit there and their track record for the last 6+ years has been just that. They lie, and they lie. And every one of them that's in this chain has been doing it. So
well, we know Susan Rice lied. We know she was told to lie. We know that Obama lied for many different things. We know he lied about being able to keep your doctor, being able to keep your health plan, that Obamacare was going to cut costs.
Yeah, and that the video caused all the commotion.
Benghazi,
He went and told the whole world. He's told the whole world. He drew a line in the sand for Syria. And nuclear, they're not going to get the nuclear bomb in Iran. All of this is pure, simple BS. ISIS is they're like junior league, JV team. Well, the fact is everything is wrong.
Right.
The fact is that if you listen to the doctor, he's another guy who must sit in a room by himself.
You mean the guy from the CDC?
Yeah. He's sitting there, oh, we've got this, we got the protocol, we got everything else.
And he's been wrong all along.
Everything. So he's batting. If you're trying to win the World Series, if the guy's batting 0, you sure to hell aren't sticking him up the bat, okay? I mean, so the only thing you can do is just back up and you say to yourself, can they be this pure, simple, stupid? Or are they hoping to keep this crisis to go through the election that, we don't want to change anything during the crisis? Who the hell knows what wacko thought this up?
Well, it's interesting because, like I said, I heard our congressman back in Buffalo, New York, blame the Republicans for cutting funding. And we saw it actually being trotted out about an hour later on the Sunday shows, and it fell really flat. Americans just didn't believe it. Do you think Americans? I mean, he's been lying all along. The administration's been lying all along. I'm not saying the Republicans lie any less, but we reelected him knowing he was a liar. So, but now they're starting to call this out. They didn't buy into this idea from the Democrat National Committee that Republicans are responsible for Ebola. Do you think people are starting to disbelieve what's coming out of Washington, what's coming out of the White House?
Well, I think you see the media has not run overboard to protect them on this. The media is just staying flat because behind the scenes, the media, I believe, is getting worried now that their champion that they wanted to push, Obama, has been such a dud. He just proved what people said. He had no friggin' experience. He did. There's just no way. He was not up to it. The people he's appointed, even though they cheered everything, the results are middle class is still going down. But they don't want to say why. They don't want to say it happened because of the Clintons. It takes 20 years span because most people don't like to think about that. But I'm thinking the media is not trying to save them. They're not trying to put them down. They're just trying to let this, maybe we can keep this thing going for another 3 weeks. And, Dingy Harry and these idiot senators up for election will squeeze through. And then you have, then they'll be out for Hillary, okay?
Right.
And she's just, if anybody thinks that lady can do a better job, then you belong into the same insane asylum, okay?
Well, Albert from Grand Rapids, Michigan, contacted us via internet. I'm all with you, Morry, about all the deadbeat politicians and liberal special interest groups, but I'm also pissed off by all the crony capitalists out there. You're from Michigan. What do you think about General Motors trying to stop Tesla, the car company, from selling direct to consumers? Now Tesla's just as dirty when it comes to corporate favors, but why can't the consumer buy a car from whoever wants to? Why can't we just buy direct?
I don't have any problem with it.
But why can't we? Why? And General Motors is suing.
Okay. Well, let me tell you why. You cannot go. You see, in the state of Michigan, you got on liquor, so many things. The state has the right to control how it goes. And they have their franchise laws. And so in Canada, they don't have the same franchise laws. So you can have a John Deere dealer, and he can become a public company, and Deere can't do diddly crap to it. But in the U.S., take a Caterpillar dealer. Caterpillar sets their dealership up. You are just renting their name, and they give you 90-day notice, and they can take their name away. You got your buildings and whatever, but you got to sell your stuff out in 90 days, otherwise,
Well, I think Albert from Grand Rapids is not fond of corporate welfare.
I don't believe in corporate welfare.
Have you ever
either.
taken corporate welfare?
No, actually, Titan, during the first Gulf War, we turned around and we got a military contract to make wheels. And they just
for what?
For the trucks running out there.
The 2.5-ton trucks?
No, big truck,
Bigger
truck,
ones? Yeah.
carrying the tanks.
Oh,
and they were blowing up a bunch of the tires and the wheels. So the order more than doubled. It was like 4 times the size. So we went and we reduced the prices.
Right.
The government, you can laugh about this. We reduced the prices, and the government told us we couldn't do it. And we said, well, we're not going to get caught way overcharging you, so here's what we're doing. And we fought it out, and we won. We still made money. And
so you had to fight the government to charge us less.
You got it. And what happened is that after the conflict, the first Gulf War, a general shows up, called up, come up to see us, and we have a plaque and everything from what we did. It was they didn't give too many of those plaques out, say. So, no, and what happened, if you want to talk corporate welfare, we built a plant in Ohio in addition to our building, and I called up the governor, and I told him, we're following. If I go to try to get all your paperwork and permits out, it'll be 6 to 9 months. I got to be in production. We're not spending this money. I don't want any from you guys. You just keep all your idiots away from us. And we sent them the $19,000 to start the process for the building permit. And I started building. And all of a sudden I got a call 6 months later. Hey, what are you doing? I haven't approved it yet. You cashed the check. As far as I'm concerned, you approved it. You shouldn't have cashed the damn check.
Did you get in trouble for that?
No, because my call to the governor told me at that time, you got any problems, call me back. And then when we had this little problem, some aides started getting, I said, listen, I'll move this sucker to Mexico, and you're going to have, with the amount of money we're paying, and these are United Steelworkers, I'll have the TV cameras and Leo Gerard here telling what a dumb governor he is. And so I don't think you'll like that on TV.
Well,
that happened. They got rid of no problem, and we were very successful. And
is the factory still in production? And how many people you employ there?
We employ approximately 450.
Wow. And that's in Bryan, Ohio?
Bryan, Ohio.
And this was also another failed factory, correct? Or did you build it from scratch?
Nope. There's another one that was losing money. Germans bought it, and they wanted out.
Well, listen, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be right back here on Grizz Nation. Don't forget, give us a call at 855-984-7499. That's 855-98-GRIZZ with 2 Z's. This is Michael Caputo here with Morry the Grizz Taylor, CEO of Titan International Tire, and we'll be right back after these messages.
The Grizz.
Mark Andel, owner of the Made in America store. Together we can help grow our economy and create jobs for Americans by buying products made right here in the United States. Visit MadeInAmericaStore.com, featuring thousands of 100% American-made products from all American materials and labor. They are the highest quality products available. We've inspired a Buy American movement that is creating and saving American jobs every day and keeping our money here instead of sending it overseas. So are you tired of lip service? Let our government know what really matters to the American people. Creating jobs matters. Manufacturing matters. Made in America matters. After 4 years in business and countless jobs created through our 400-plus suppliers, we've built a simple working model to strengthen our economy. It's a proving fact. Made in America matters because China is a long drive to work. Shop online at MadeInAmericaStore.com or connect with us on Facebook.
This Your Family Today tip is brought to you by Nesquik. Try Nesquik 4-packs, perfect for lunches and great for kids on the go. Look for it in the juice aisle. Snack time is a great chance to sneak extra calcium into your child's diet without making him feel like he's eating something he doesn't want. Serve up dairy-rich foods like smoothies, flavored milk, frozen yogurt, and string cheese. He'll love the treat, and you'll love knowing how good it is for him. For more tips like these, visit us at parenthood.com/yourfamilytoday.
At home, I'm known as Mom. But in my classroom, I go by Ms. Johnson. Good morning, class. Please take your seats. As a teacher, I know what children need to be successful in school. That's why for my own children, I choose Primrose Schools. National assessment results show that Primrose students perform at about twice the level of their peers. That's something that's important to me as a parent and an educator. To see what other moms are saying, visit askaprimrosemom.com.
Welcome back to GrizzNation. No bull talk radio with Morry, the Grizz Taylor. Dial 855-98-GRIZZ to join in. Stand by for the Grizz.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for the last 15-minute segment of today's GrizzNation. We're on every week, 3 until 5 p.m. Eastern Time. Remember, give us a call at 855-984-7499 if you got a question for the Grizz. And, I'll tell you, Morry, Grizz, I've seen it raining and raining and raining out in the Midwest. And you make, the Titan International makes those huge agricultural tires. And I know you're hearing from these farmers out there in the Midwest. Are they actually going to get their crops in?
Well, that's getting to be a real problem right at this moment. The one that's real critical, of course, is soybeans. And soybeans are ready to be harvested now, at least from what I have seen. But if they get a frost, they lose because the pods open up and drop the beans.
And it's coming up on frost time.
Oh, it's coming up. And yesterday, I got a call from one of my fellas that
or one of your customers?
One of our customers, and John Dawson. He's a big, big farmer. And we build a special tire. It's called the 1100 LSW. And
what is that? How tall is that tire?
That tire is 83 to 85 inches tall, so 7 foot. And it's approximately...
That's huge.
Yeah, it's like 48 inches wide, but... That's that tire will go on all the big, huge combines, and you can go through. He's out in the field. Only the combines with our big tires, or if they have some tracks, can you get through the field? And they're going through. And
are they all getting stuck? The other ones are getting stuck in the mud.
Oh, the other ones just go right down. And we've got we also have. They use it more in the rice. It's called a 1250 by 46, and again, that's a 7 foot tall. But what's really happening, we sell them the tire and the wheel, and I know on Friday we were gearing up to make more. Generally, you wouldn't make any of these until this coming, summer because the you
you're
need
all
them
sold.
now.
If you're sold out, you're just.
Well, no, they've gotten some more people have called, so we're going to scramble this next week to get some out. they're huge. Equipment dealers call us for them, and a few tire dealers. So I'll tell right now, if you got soybeans and you got to get in your field and you're getting stuck with your combines, you just call 1-800-USA-BEAR, and you tell them I said, and you'll get an extra 5% off. But we're banging it. It'll probably take. We'll get them this week.
That's interesting, or you travel around all week long, dropping in on your factories, dropping in on your customers. You actually dragged me around 5 states in one day. One day, you drove me absolutely nuts. And I can't keep up with you. You're just you don't walk, you run, and you talk all day long to farmers, the salt of the earth, the people who make the food, the people who drive this economy. And how are they feeling? Well, what are they thinking about how things are right now?
Oh, I think they're. I had a farmer. I gave a press release out under Titan, big farmer in Ohio, and he was giddy. Because he's never going to get he's never seen yields this good. But using the farm deal, and I've mentioned this before, everybody here knows what corn is, okay? And you hear all this trade and free in the world. Folks, you got all this stuff that falls into this country from China. It comes in here with no duty. They steal in everything. The government doesn't want to tell you middle class is down because of manufacturing jobs. But let me tell you something. The price of a farmer that makes a bushel of corn, he gets $13 if he's Chinese in China. The U.S. farmer gets $3.20. So if the Chinese had the same trade policy as us, we would wipe them out. They'd have no farms at all. The same would happen in Europe. You see, our farmers are so good. But here's what happens. The farmer now is only going to get $3 something a bushel of his corn, because by China paying 13 something a bushel, the 500 million Chinese farmers have made so much corn, the Chinese government has 150 million metric tons of corn. So what are they doing? They're throwing it onto the world market
and driving the price
to
down.
Drive it down for us. That's a double hit. So that just goes to show how dumb. So I don't care what your voting privileges or what you vote for or what you think, but if you start complaining about the middle class and you hear the dummies in the news media talk about it, let me tell you something. Hang it on Bill and Hillary Clinton, folks, all right? And Obama didn't do squat on it, all right? So that is a big thing. So that's what's happening in the farm. They're doing good. They're working hard right now.
And your business is doing well, right?
Yeah.
Marv from Silicon Valley via internet sends a question to you, Morry. The most certain way to restore the original United States founding principles is a free market education industry to provide freedom from government schools by outcompeting them. I mean, he's basically talking about school choice, about private school choice. Do you agree with him that the free market education industry is the way to change this country?
Well, the first thing is look at your education, okay? All the way up until basically after World War II, even just before that, you had high school come in there, but everybody thought about the 8th grade. And then after World War II, that was when you had the big push with the GI Bill for college. But if I'm an engineer, now I can tell you right now, you probably could get most of your schooling done, unless you're a doctor or some specialist, in 2 years. But you see, we've looked at college, and college has been sold, and you got so many idiotic stuff to take that doesn't mean anything. So what you should do, America should say, why can't you use the high schools so at night and turn those things into your 2-year college program?
Well, some states are actually doing that. I mean, not very many. I mean,
not very many.
Our workforce is really, really decreased in quality.
But you see, the big problem, let me tell you what the problem in America is. You see, back in the 60s, when I was in school, if you went to a factory from GM or Ford or Chrysler, any big company, they made a decision in their HR building that you could not be a supervisor, a line foreman, unless you had a college degree. Then, like 2 years later, they said also, well, you can't be a general supervisor unless you have a college degree. Well, folks, a college degree doesn't mean you know how to lead. A college degree doesn't train you to be a manager, okay? It was just pure, simple BS. And now you want to know why a lot of those businesses went down? They went down. All of them did. Now, if you don't believe me, hey, look at Microsoft. You're from the Silicon Valley? Well, do you think Bill Gates and them wrote that language for the code for the computer? No, they bought it. They bought it from IBM. And Gates' big contribution was because his father is a lawyer in a contract, and Allen, and that's the way it goes. You look at to run the place after it got going, that's when, Steve Ballmer come in. Read the article on him. But the point being, and look at Steve Jobs. A good engineer, and Jobs was a marketing guy. But then they figured he was too tough, so they got rid of him. They brought in Scully. And then when it went bankrupt, they all left. But brought Jobs back in. The rest is history, folks. So don't plant so much, and so to answer your question, schools are too large. You got mega grade schools, you got mega high schools. We're better off if you'd have schools capped from kindergarten all the way up to high school at 500 kids and just run it that way.
I got a very, very, very important question from Greg here in Detroit. Will Michigan win another football game this year? The look on your face is priceless.
Yeah, they'll win a game sometime.
Do you see the Lions in the Super Bowl, he asks?
No.
You don't? Why not? Best defense in the NFL.
Well, but they haven't got to any real good teams yet, folks.
You're right.
You got to play the good boys. Number 2, let's just think, we're pleased we got Michigan State's going pretty good. I think they're going to do good. I hope the Lions can run it. They have the talent. I just don't know if they've got a few problems of some play selection, but hey, that's just an old quarterback that sits out and watches it. But hey, it's entertaining. And
well, Morry, speaking of entertaining, next week you're having
next week I got Naples. Hey, folks, you're going to like this. We have once a year our dealers come in. We bring the top dealers from around the country. These are tire dealers for Titan Tire. And I have all my execs are there. I have my board of directors show up. It's 3 days, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. It ends Saturday night. But we're going to go live from there. So
yeah, GrizzNation is going to be live in front of a live audience.
And all of these people in the tire dealers are entrepreneurs, great people from all over the country. So
we're going to mic them up. We're going to take questions from the audience. It should be very interesting next week. Very interesting.
They'll ask tough stuff. Have a great time.
Ladies and gentlemen.
GrizzNation, adios.
Thank you very much for joining us here on GrizzNation. You'll hear us next week from Naples, Florida. And thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Have a good weekend.